I thought that I was just losing weight. I had no idea that I was actually collecting chapters. Hi, I'm Steve and welcome to another down-home clean carnivore video. Over the past few weeks, a number of people have asked me about the book that I'm writing, Born Fat, Skinny at 75. I appreciate the question because it gives me the opportunity to tell you something that surprises even me. I didn't set out to write a book. I began watching YouTube videos recorded by board-certified physicians who are willing to put their practices on hold and at risk for going against conventional wisdom. I read their books to get more comprehensive knowledge. In all, I read more than 60 books. So what you hear in my videos and read in my book is not just my opinion, but information gathered from reliable sources. These brave individuals were kind enough to dig through the mountains of studies and draw informed conclusions and pass them on. I never sat down with a yellow legal pad and outlined 20 chapters. I never said this is going to be my next project. In fact, I think the book wrote itself in many ways. When this journey began, I weighed 256 pounds. I was pre-diabetic. My mind was clouded by brain fog. I had depression. Inflammation had become an everyday part of my life. Like so many people, I wasn't chasing a dream. I was looking for hope. When I discovered low carb and graduated to intermittent fasting and later to carnivore, my goal was simple: lose weight. I wanted my health back. I wanted to think clearly again. I wanted to wake up looking forward to the day instead of wondering how I was going to get through it. But weight loss came before all that. Writing a book was on the back burner. And I will admit that because my former experience with Kindle, it was not the mountain of the great unknown that it is for most people. I had already demystified the beast. In my heart of hearts, I knew that I could, if I so chose. As my health improved, I began paying closer attention to life itself. I'd notice a lesson when I was trimming a chuck roll. I'd recognize a production flow when I was vacuum sealing beef for the freezer. A conversation in Costco would stay with me long after I got home. A sunrise would remind me that peace isn't attached to a location. A road trip would teach me something about purpose. Even a stubborn laptop or a weak internet connection would reveal lessons about patience, preparation, and adaptability. At first, I simply put these thoughts into Google Docs because I didn't want to lose them. They weren't chapters. They were observations, little snapshots of life. Then, one day, I started reading back through them, through the notes. Something surprised me. The stories were no longer random at all. Each one seemed to illuminate another part of the same journey. This wasn't merely a story about changing what was on my plate. It was a story about changing how I planned, worked, and solved problems. I was fascinated by the changes that were created well outside the normal B, and E, or lion diet discussions. Without realizing it, I had been documenting a transformation that reached far beyond food. Somewhere along the way, I realized I wasn't merely writing notes, I was collecting chapters. And let me read you a short excerpt from one of the early sections of the manuscript. I came looking for weight loss, and I found clarity. I came looking for health, and I found margin. I came looking for a way of eating, and I found a different way of living. The food was obvious, the deeper lessons were hidden, and this is what captured my attention and drove the project. The meat was not the destination, it was the doorway. When I read those words today, I realized that they described this book better than any outline ever could. Yes, it's about carnivore. Yes, it's about losing more than 100 pounds. But underneath those things is another story entirely. It's about discovering that simple choices often lead to profound changes. As I am wont to say, great doors swing on small hinges. It's about finding peace where I used to find pressure. It's about realizing that stewardship isn't limited to money or time. It extends to our bodies, our thoughts, our work, and the way we live each ordinary day. That's why I wanted to create this series. Over the next few videos, I'd like to invite you into the workshop. I'll share some of the stories, behind the chapters, explain where they came from, and read an occasional excerpt from the manuscript. Not enough to give away the book, but enough to let you watch it take shape. My hope isn't simply that you'll become interested in my story. My hope is that you'll begin noticing your own story, because I have the feeling that all of us are collecting chapters. Most of us just don't realize it yet.